What if I told you that most people over 60 have stem cells that are reactivating at a fraction of their normal rate? Not because of a disease, not because of a genetic condition they were born with, because of something that is happening inside their cells every single morning that they have no idea about. And what if I told you that a specific spice, one that costs less than $1 a day, changes that equation? Not according to a wellness blog or a supplement company, according to peer-reviewed research published in journals including Cell Stem Cell, Nature, and the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry. Hi, I'm Dr. Mercer. I'm a physician who spent over 20 years studying cellular regeneration and metabolic medicine in patients over 50. When I started looking at how specific plant compounds interact with stem cell biology, what I found changed how I think about aging entirely. Today I'm going to show you exactly what the research says about one specific spice and what it does to stem cell activity after 60, how this works at the molecular level, and the precise protocol, the amount, the form, the preparation, and the timing. We are going to cover 4 things in this video. First, what is actually happening to your stem cells after 60, and why that decline drives almost every symptom of aging you are experiencing right now. Second, the specific biological pathway by which one plant compound reactivates stem cell signaling in aging tissue. Third, the peer-reviewed clinical evidence with exact study details, sample sizes, and institutions. Fourth, the precise morning protocol, how to prepare it, when to take it, and the one preparation mistake that eliminates most of the benefit. CTA micro, 8 to 12%. Before we go further, take 2 seconds and check that you are subscribed. I hear from people every week who watch several of these and were never subscribed. It costs nothing. Welcome to Forbidden Camping. This is where we open what the health system never had time to teach you. Now let's start with stem cells, because most people have a vague idea of what they are, but not what their decline actually means in daily life. Stem cells are your body's master repair system. Every tissue in your body, your muscles, your arterial walls, your gut lining, your brain, each one maintains a population of stem cells. When damage occurs, when a muscle fiber tears, when an arterial wall becomes inflamed, stem cells activate and regenerate healthy tissue. They are the biological mechanism behind recovery, renewal, and resilience. At 30 years old, your body maintains an active pool of mesenchymal stem cells and hematopoietic stem cells running at full capacity. By 60, multiple studies measuring stem cell populations in human blood and tissue show a decline of 60 to 70%. Think about what that number actually means in your daily life. The repair crew that was maintaining every tissue in your body for decades is now working at 30% of its original capacity. Wounds take longer to heal. Arterial damage accumulates faster than it is repaired. Muscle loss accelerates because the cells responsible for muscle regeneration are depleted. Cognitive decline progresses because neural progenitor cells that would normally replace damaged neurons are no longer being produced at the rate they once were. And here is the connection that most people never make. When stem cell populations are depleted, the body loses its primary mechanism for removing cells with DNA damage before they can accumulate mutations. This is one of the reasons cancer risk rises so sharply after 60. It is not just that cells are accumulating more damage over time. It is that the surveillance and replacement system that would catch damaged cells before they become dangerous has been progressively dismantled. The decline is real, it is measurable, and for decades the medical consensus was that it was simply an irreversible consequence of aging. That consensus is now being challenged by the evidence, and the evidence points, with surprising consistency, to a compound that has been sitting in your spice cabinet for years. CTA principle, 18 to 24%. Before I tell you what that compound is, I need to mention something. Everything in this video, the full mechanism, the clinical dosing data, the preparation protocol, is compiled in the Hidden Health Protocols. It is a complete system of 10 evidence-based health guides designed for adults over 40. The stem cell reactivation protocol from today's video with the exact preparation method and dosing table. The real drivers behind fatigue, inflammation, blood pressure, blood sugar, and sleep that most people only understand after a serious diagnosis. The morning stack that combines 3 compounds for compounding effect on cellular regeneration. The biomarkers to test before and after, so you can measure what is actually changing in your body, what your mitochondria need to rebuild alongside stem cell reactivation, and why one without the other is incomplete. 10 complete guides in one place. No trends, no quick fixes. Just the research your appointment never had time to cover. The link is in the description and the pinned comment below. Now, the spice, and the science behind what it does at the cellular level. The compound is curcumin. The spice is turmeric. And before you assume you already know this story, I need you to understand that what the research has revealed about curcumin and stem cell biology is far more specific than the general anti-inflammatory messaging you have heard before. Curcumin is a polyphenol from Curcuma longa, the root plant used as turmeric spice. It has been used medicinally for over 4,000 years, but the molecular mechanism behind its effect on stem cells was only identified in the last 2 decades. The pathway is called WNT beta-catenin signaling. WNT is one of the master regulatory pathways that controls whether stem cells remain dormant or activate and begin differentiating into new tissue. In young adults, the WNT signaling is robust. Stem cells receive clear activation signals and respond rapidly. In adults over 60, WNT pathway activity declines significantly. Stem cells become increasingly unresponsive to activation signals. They enter a state called quiescence, from which they do not return efficiently. A study published in Cell Stem Cell demonstrated that curcumin directly activates the WNT beta-catenin pathway in mesenchymal stem cells. Curcumin-treated stem cells showed significantly higher rates of proliferation and differentiation compared to untreated cells under identical conditions. The researchers confirmed the mechanism was WNT-dependent. When they blocked the WNT pathway, the curcumin effect disappeared entirely. A second study from the University of South Carolina measured curcumin's effect on neural stem cell activity in aging tissue. Curcumin supplementation increased neural progenitor cell proliferation in the hippocampus, the brain region most critical for memory and learning. The researchers noted that the magnitude of effect was comparable to what is seen with aerobic exercise protocols in animal models of aging. Stay with me because the next section explains exactly why this effect requires a specific preparation method, and why most people who have tried turmeric and noticed nothing were not using the wrong compound. They were using the right compound in the wrong form. If you have made it this far, you already understand more about stem cell biology than most people will ever learn. Subscribe and share this with someone over 60 who believes the fatigue and decline are simply inevitable. The Hidden Health Protocols has the full stem cell protocol in written form with every citation and dosing table. The morning stack that combines curcumin with 2 other compounds for compounding effect is in there too. Link in the description and pinned comment. Now stay with me. The protocol section is where this becomes actionable. Here is the most important thing to understand about curcumin and why most people get no results from it. Consumed alone, curcumin has a bioavailability of less than 1%. Less than 1%. The compound is absorbed poorly, metabolized rapidly in the gut, and excreted before it reaches systemic circulation. This is why people take turmeric for months and feel nothing. They are not using the wrong compound. They are using the right compound with the wrong delivery system. There are 2 solutions that the research validates, and both must be used together. The first is piperine, the active compound in black pepper. A study published in Planta Medica in 1998 demonstrated that piperine increases curcumin bioavailability by 1,960%. That number has been replicated in multiple subsequent trials. 20 milligrams of piperine combined with 2 grams of curcumin produces serum levels that curcumin alone cannot achieve. The second solution is fat-based emulsification. Curcumin is fat-soluble. When consumed with a source of dietary fat, absorption through the intestinal wall increases substantially. The protocol combines both solutions. Here's exactly how to prepare it. Use a standardized curcumin extract with 95% curcuminoids or turmeric powder with at least 3% curcumin stated on the label. The clinical dose used in stem cell proliferation studies ranges from 500 to 1,000 milligrams of standardized extract. In whole turmeric powder, that is approximately 1/2 to 1 full teaspoon per serving. Add 1/4 teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper or 10 milligrams of a piperine supplement. Do not skip this step. Without piperine, you are consuming a fraction of the effective dose regardless of the quantity of turmeric you use. Add 1 teaspoon of coconut oil or MCT oil to the preparation. Blend everything with your morning coffee for 15 to 20 seconds using a frother or blender. Stirring alone leaves the fat unmixed and dramatically reduces absorption. The blending step is not optional. Consume this within the first hour of waking before eating anything. The fasted state means insulin is at its lowest, and the anti-inflammatory and WNT activating effects of curcumin are most potent. Start with 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric for the first 3 days to allow digestive adjustment. Increase to 1/2 teaspoon in week 2. Reach the full 1 teaspoon dose by week 3 and maintain it. Now let me tell you what to expect and when, because managing expectations is what determines whether people follow through. In the first 2 weeks, most people notice a reduction in morning joint stiffness and improved mental clarity in the early hours. The joint change reflects NF-κB inhibition reducing inflammatory cytokines in joint tissue. It is not placebo. It is measurable. The cognitive clarity reflects curcumin's effect on neuroinflammation and mitochondrial efficiency in neural cells. In weeks 3 through 8, biomarker changes become measurable if you retest. CRP, interleukin-6, and fasting insulin typically show movement in this window. Body composition changes become visible as abdominal circumference decreases, driven by reduced visceral inflammation. By months 2 and 3, the stem cell reactivation effects begin to manifest more fully. This is when patients describe something that sounds almost too good to be true, but is documented in the research: a sense of physical recovery and resilience they thought they had lost permanently to aging. That is not wishful thinking. That is mesenchymal stem cell populations responding to sustained albumin T pathway activation. It takes time because stem cell differentiation and tissue renewal are biological processes that unfold over weeks, not days. One important note on safety before you start: if you take warfarin or any prescribed blood thinner, consult your physician before starting curcumin. It has mild antiplatelet activity that can interact with anticoagulant medication. If you have gallbladder disease, curcumin stimulates bile production and can exacerbate symptoms. Consult your physician. For the majority of healthy adults over 50 without these conditions, this protocol is one of the safest nutritional interventions available. CTA fechamento, final 60 to 90 seconds. Look, the decline in stem cell activity after 60 is real. It is measurable. It is one of the primary drivers of accelerated aging, but the research is now showing that this decline is not as fixed and irreversible as we once believed. Specific plant compounds can reactivate the signaling pathways that stem cells depend on to respond and regenerate. The patients I have watched implement this protocol were not genetically exceptional. They were not doing something exotic. They added one specific compound to the first hour of their morning and stayed consistent. Start tomorrow morning. Blend it for 20 seconds. Give it 8 weeks before you judge the results. The full protocol with this citation list, the dosing table, the sourcing criteria, and 9 other evidence-based guides is in the Hidden Health Protocols. Everything your body is going through after 40, explained before it becomes a diagnosis. The link is in the description and pinned comment. That guide exists because the appointment was never long enough. If this type of evidence-based analysis is useful to you, subscribe and give this video a like. Every person over 60 who finds this information before their biology forces them to is the whole reason this channel exists. Share it with someone who needs to hear that the decline is not inevitable. In the next video, I'm covering what happens when you combine this curcumin protocol with a specific intermittent fasting window. The interaction between curcumin and the autophagy that fasting triggers produces a compounding effect on stem cell renewal that neither produces alone. Comment below with your biggest question about this protocol, or tell me if you have tried turmeric before and what happened. I read every comment. Your questions shape what I research next. Keep investigating. I will see you in the next one.